Once more in New York, we're introduced to the character Bubblegum. We also see Fujiko rebuffing Lupin's feelings again, so he trolls her by saying she should look into his eyes to see his sincerity. Bubblegum meets with him and cash is exchanged. The purchase is for his chewing gum, which can shape itself into anyone. Lupin and Bubblegum take some downtime at a club called Gasper's. Lupin's interested in their star dancer Amore, but Bubblegum warns that Gasper is pretty overprotective of her. It doesn't stop Lupin from joining her as an angry Gasper watches alongside Zenigata. When Lupin leaves, Gasper and Zenigata follow. Bubblegum uses his gum to disguise himself as Lupin and allow the real one to slip away. It doesn't last as Lupin is chased down by tanks. Not to mention submarines, and even the Air Force gets in on it. Turns out some military higher-ups are regulars at Gasper's, as Bubblegum learns. Lupin escapes back to his hideout, but Jigen and Goemon find it hard to believe. Bubblegum arrives and warns that Gasper wants to meet Lupin at his club. Arriving there, Gasper proposes marriage to Lupin. That is, marriage to Amore, not him. Lupin rejects this due to how forward Amore is about it. She confronts him in the street and starts threatening to kill herself if Lupin keeps rejecting her. Zenigata arrives and Lupin requests he be arrested to escape her. As they drive, Lupin questions how Zenigata even knows someone like Gasper. Zenigata explains that he used to be a marriage scammer before being arrested. Lupin slips away and calls Gasper, saying he'll marry Amore after all. Of course it's a scam. In preparation for the ceremony, Bubblegum makes some chewing gum bullets for Lupin. The ceremony begins, and ends pretty quickly. Lupin then calls out Gasper, knowing this was a scam. In response, Gasper and his men open fire. Lupin counters this with the gun bullets. They give the illusion that the guns turn into dynamite, but it's just a case of the blockage causing the guns to explode. Jigen and Goemon also join the fight with their own supply of gum. Gasper threatens to get the military involved, but his order is rejected. Lupin explains that he put in an order of higher priority to counter Gasper. Gasper and Amore try to run, but Lupin clogs their car exhaust with the gum. They end up crashing, and Lupin uses the gum to turn it into a dump truck with Zenigata driving. He then turns it into a police car and has them driven away. Similar to episodes 78 and 106, this is known as one of the Broadway episodes. Definitely a few recurring themes in these episodes, at least so far. Thankfully, this one's more on par with the former. Heavy on the slapstick, and the chewing gum is certainly an out there concept, but good for a laugh. Bubblegum was a nice addition, giving Lupin someone else to interact with besides the gang, and expanding his connections to give the idea that he's a global thief. Amore and Gasper also provide some good entertainment in their over-the-top actions. Funnily enough, Amore also resembles someone Lupin actually marries. The gang are on the hunt for Captain Cook's treasure, supposedly hidden somewhere in the Pacific Islands. A man watches from one island, suspecting he may have use for Lupin. At that moment, the gang are attacked by a Zero fighter, a Japanese plane that hasn't seen use since World War II. Lupin has a dinghy prepared, but they get attacked by sharks. The sharks end up pulling them to the pool of the man who was watching earlier. The man explains that he's the chief of a jet trading company and wants Lupin's help in taking out the Zero. Lupin, already wary, declines when he hears that the pilot managed to get hold of a nuclear bomb. The chief responds by using Fujiko as leverage, pointing them in the direction of a volcano. Avoiding gunfire, the gang eventually make it to the top. Lupin falls and discovers the Zero stashed in a cave. He moves to try and disarm the bomb, but the pilot, Kimihiro, appears and warns he'll just set it off. Despite his hostility towards Lupin, Kimihiro is happy to see Goemon, a fellow Japanese man. He tells them that he's the last survivor of Yamamoto's team assigned to guard the area after spotting the Red Cross marking Captain Cook's island. He refuses to believe the war's over, not to mention not believing Yamamoto died in duty. He suggests the gang become his subordinates to guard Captain Cook's treasure. Upon hearing Lupin's name, however, he grows angry and shoots at him, forcing him to hide. Goemon believes Lupin fell and attacks Kimihiro. Kimihiro responds by threatening to shoot the bomb. Just then, Yamamoto appears. No prizes for guessing who this is. Kimihiro dismantles the bomb under his order, but grows suspicious when he asks for Captain Cook's island. He also wonders how Yamamoto looks so young when he's supposed to be in his 90s, so Lupin switches to an old man mask. This is all interrupted when the chief attacks, knowing the bomb is now disarmed. He fires sleeping gas on them and kidnaps Kimihiro. Lupin escapes this due to finding a gas mask, but Kimihiro is forced to give up the location of the treasure thanks to truth serum. The gang find Kimihiro and wake him back up by imitating what he'd hear in war. Part of the island comes away, revealed to be an aircraft carrier. Lupin offers to pilot the Zero and chase them as Kimihiro's leg was injured. The chief sends fighter jets after Lupin, but he counters with coconuts. The Zero's engine gives out, but Jigen and Goemon are on hand to help with the last jet. They land on the carrier and Goemon's attack draws out the chief, who reveals he knows Kimihiro. He's Samijima, second in command to Yamamoto but never learned of Cook's Island. He orders everyone to jump in his shark pool and leads them to it. This is interrupted by the carrier hitting Zenigata's submarine. Samijima himself falls in the pool, but Lupin and Jigen take out the sharks. They head ashore and discover the Red Cross is a graveyard for the pilots. Zenigata arrives, but Lupin escapes by asking to pray for the pilots and getting a couple of minutes to do so. Kimihiro bids the gang farewell, planning to stay and guard the site until he joins his fellow pilots. We then end on Lupin and Fujiko watching the stars, in particular the Southern Cross. The idea of Japanese soldiers being unaware of the war being over is based on a real phenomenon. In fact, Kimihiro is likely based on Hiro Onoda, who also only surrendered after his aged commander was brought forth to dismiss him. I have to say I'm not too sure why the gang spared Samijima in the end, considering they've killed people for less. Still, that and Zenigata's appearance being a bit last minute aside, decent enough episode. A bank robbery in Stockholm goes off without a problem. Fujiko stops suddenly, fearing she hit someone, but it was just a ploy to steal the money while the others checked. The gang chase after her, but she ends up caught in an avalanche set off by someone. They rescue her, but the doctor says she's not long for the world. As a dying wish, Fujiko asks for the location of Lupin's most valuable treasure. She gives him a perfume bottle and the doctor confirms she's gone. Zenigata finds Lupin at Fujiko's funeral service, but grows concerned when he doesn't put up any resistance. When he learns what happened, he laughs, telling them he saw Fujiko at the airport with a man named Helga, the doctor who gave the diagnosis. The treasure location is in a ruin in Crete, but Fujiko is only given a 10% share in the deal. The following Lupin explains there isn't actually any treasure there, but there will be something to make Fujiko fall for him all over again. The safe inside seems unguarded, but Helga freaks out at the Minotaur statue. Fujiko confirms there's nothing wrong with it, but he leaves anyway. As she moves to open the safe, the statue comes to life and transforms into her duplicate. The duplicate copies her every move and eventually gains the upper hand in the inevitable fight. Lupin arrives and explains that it's an advanced robot that he can control with a pin on his tie. He stole it from a science team that developed it for Nazi body doubles. Fujiko heads off and Lupin follows, as does the Minotaur. He knocks it away, but it comes back, though Lupin thinks he's talking to Fujiko. He tells her to think back to when they first met in the Parthenon many years ago as a clue to the treasure. Helga reveals he took the real Fujiko hostage, and that he was one of the scientists working on the Minotaur. He demands Lupin give the treasure to him, so Lupin changes his helicopter to a mining drill. The plan being to drill under Helga's ship and sink him. Helga anticipated this and fires a laser to mess with the drill's controls. The gang end up back in the treasure chamber, where the Minotaur splits into their duplicates. The Lupin duplicate steals the tie clip in the fight, and Jigen and Goemon go over a cliff. Lupin overpowers his duplicate, but he is pulled off himself as he does. Helga opens a safe, but the only thing inside is a small bottle. Fujiko recognises it as her favourite perfume, but Helga analyses it further, discovering it's just water. Duplicates of Helga and his men appear and toss them over a cliff. The gang unmask, having survived their encounter, and toss Helga a ring before confronting Fujiko. She's annoyed the treasure was water, but Lupin explains its significance. It was the rainwater from their first encounter. Fujiko reactivates the Minotaur and has the Lupin duplicate tell her that was a fake story to seduce her, however. Some good back and forth on Lupin and Fujiko here, both of them trying and failing to deceive the other. The gang seems to be getting pretty merciful lately too, as they toss a ring to help out Helga, just like how they saved Samijima in the last episode. Not sure we'll ever learn if Lupin really does have a collection hidden somewhere in the world. A hunt for pirate treasure does not go off well at all. The gang are then beaten to the punch in seconds by a rival group, identified as the Red Ghosts. Back in Japan, Lupin and Jigen discuss how they've been beaten to the punch by them 3 times now. Fujiko suspects they use shamanism, summoning ghosts, but Lupin laughs that off because ghosts aren't real. Jigen does note that the Red Ghosts have history in black magic usage, with Fujiko identifying their leader as a woman named Mirakawa. Goemon has gone on ahead, but while he holds his own, his sword is stolen, the thief being Mirakawa herself. On the way to help, Jigen explains to the others that the Red Ghosts were headed by Dr. Frankenstein, who created a near unkillable monster to aid them. It was eventually defeated by a holy bullet, but the Red Ghosts continued on in secret. Mirakawa shows Goemon a gun that can summon the souls of an ancestor and possess their body. To demonstrate, she uses it to call the original Goemon Ishikawa. She orders the ghost to possess his descendant, her target being the golden pot of Rosenkreuz. Before they can get the location, they get wind that the gang are on the way. The Red Ghost's guard dogs are revealed to be robots, but the gang are then attacked by the possessed Goemon. The Red Ghosts escape, but Jigen fires a tracker on their car. As the gang follow, they're attacked by a helicopter piloted by Frankenstein the 15th. He forces them into the river, but they jump out of their car at the last second. The reason the Red Ghosts are after the golden pot is that it contains the soul of the Frankenstein monster, now rebuilt. Goemon's ghost leads Mirakawa to the hiding place, unaware that Lupin has followed them. Lupin is told of the Red Ghost's plans before being fought back. Lupin and Jigen follow, quickly dispatching Zenigata along the way. They arrive just as the monster is awakened. It attacks the gang, and Jigen warns that they can't fight it head on. They don't have a holy bullet on hand, but Jigen suspects Zantetsuken might work. Dashing past the monster and into the castle, they find Goemon waiting. Lupin and Jigen dodge him, and Jigen steals the soul gun, using it to free Goemon from his possession. Jigen tells him to attack the monster, and this sends it against the Red Ghosts. Beaten back into a gunpowder storeroom, Frankenstein tries shooting it, but, well, you can probably guess. As the gang watch the fireworks, Jigen explains that he remembered Goemon saying that Zantetsuken was a good counter against unholy things, and rightly figured it might work. Well, I guess these guys didn't get a lifeline after the last couple of episodes. It was a nice touch they kept Lupin's scepticism about ghosts from episode 113, even if it may just have been a coincidence. Also nice to see Jigen being the one to save the day for the first time in a while, being the knowledge well for the Red Ghosts and how to beat back their monster. Next time, a hunt for a statue, a battle for Napoleon's treasure, a young fangirl in Paris, and an unconventionally powered rocket takes us to episode 124. Until then,